Hello everybody, Fred Wagner here, Papa's Painting Tips. I'd just like to start out this video with saying thank you all for being patient with my absence. Yeah, I've had bronchitis, I think, for the past 2 weeks, and a lot of other things going on in the family that's been taking up a lot of time. I've been waiting for a compressor to come through. As many may have known already, I sold my Iwata Great White Shark. Love that compressor. I've had it for many years and it worked well. It didn't eat up a lot of oil. I think I've only changed the oil in it twice, and fairly easy to do. However, over the years I've decided two things. One, I wanted to go with an oilless compressor, only because a little easier maintenance. Yes, the longevity of the compressor is hampered, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about choosing the right compressor for you and for your airbrush art. And there's a lot of determining factors what size you want to get, and there's a couple helpful tips that I want to get into real quick. One is, what size airbrushes are you using? Excuse me. Are you using a detail airbrush? Are you using a t-shirt airbrush? Are you using a air gun? These all have different. The PSI is a small factor, a very small. You can run most air compressors anywheres from 5 psi all the way up to 90 psi. Most of your airbrushes out there work well right between 15 to 35 psi depending on your paints that you're using. The paints that I use are ETAC, EFX mostly, or Createx illustration paint. These two paints, excuse me, these two paints can be run right about, I find it best for my work to run right around 25 psi to 30. Works best for me, flows best. I use the Iwata Custom Micron SB for my airbrush mostly. If I use my t-shirt airbrush, I will use that, which is the Eclipse CS, or just the Eclipse siphon feed, and both of those I'll run on average around 50 psi. The only reason is I want the paint to penetrate into the fibers of the shirt to give better longevity to the paint. For that paint, I've used Createx Wicked colors, and my preferred is ETAC Private Stock. I just like the way ETAC Private Stock flows, a lot less tip dry issues. Also, I found in the Wicked color I had a lot of trouble with the burnt umber and cobalt blue. They tended to clog up the airbrush quicker. I don't know why. Everybody blames it on reduce. Well, if I'm working t-shirts, I don't want to reduce. I want the strongest pigment base I can get out of that airbrush. So anyways, back to compressors. With different compressors, they can perform that range of PSI, but what's going to be a determining factor on the size of compressor you get is your CFMs, cubic feet per minute. Now, the way to explain it is, like here on, I got my Eclipse here, on here. This is a 0.5 millimeter needle. The CFMs out of this, I do not know offhand. I apologize. I should do my research before I do a video. However, between this and a Micron SB, pretend I have a Micron SB in this hand, Okay, between this Micron, imaginary Micron SB, the Micron SB has lower CFMs, cubic foot per minute demand, than this Iwata Eclipse, because this has a larger tube in it for the air supply and a larger nozzle. So therefore, more air is going to travel through this at the same PSI as this custom Micron SB. This custom Micron is, why don't I get the custom Micron SB so you have something to look at? How goofy of me. Hello, princess, my little wonderful doggy. Silly, silly me. Okay. Here, I'm back. Did you miss me? Okay. This custom Micron SB takes less CFMs than this Iwata Eclipse, because the orifice that allows this air to come through is smaller up in the nozzle than the 5.18, 0.5 millimeter. Okay, so this is going to consume at the same PSI. This is going to consume more air. More air is going to come out. I like to compare it to air through this, water through a garden hose. You take a garden hose, you have it completely open. More volume of water is going to come out of the end of that hose, okay, than when you put a smaller nozzle, which would be your spray nozzle for your garden hose. That spray nozzle constricts that, less water will go through. It's still the same PSI coming out, the same amount of water pushing into it, but because of the restriction on the opening, okay, reduces the amount of air that can come out at the same pressure. So, that being said, now if you step all the way up to a HVLP, high volume, low pressure air gun, that has a even larger orifice, nozzle, that the air's quarter, half, I forget all the sizes of it. The one I had was a 1/4 inch nozzle, and that would, even though I stepped my PSI way down to 10 PSI, which is very low pressure, it was consuming higher volumes of air. So therefore, you need a larger air tank for volume of air to allow that gun to run, okay, at 10 PSI than you would that Eclipse. So you're talking, I'm not going to do the math, but you would want a higher horsepower motor to keep up with the volume of paint or air coming out of that compressor tank. Second thing is, and I will cover this again in the video, is I have a 1-horse compressor that I just purchased with an 8-gallon tank. The larger your tank size, the less moisture buildup is going to be inside that tank at the 1 horsepower. If you step down, you know, and you get a little 2-gallon tank, but you have a 1 horsepower motor pumping into it, yeah, it's going to fill up real quick for you, but you're going to have more moisture because the heat of that compressor is pumping that causing condensation in the tube, and it's going to go into that tank. So if you've got a larger tank, it's running a bit cooler over time. Now you're going to say, okay, but then it's going to recycle over and over and over and build up that heat. Well, you've got a larger air tank now, 8 gallons, that's going to take and cause less moisture buildup because that compressor on top of it that's pumping the air into that tank is going to have more time to cool down at the 25 psi that I'm working at. So it's got more cooling, so less condensation inside that tube. So if I had a 4-gallon tank or a 2-gallon tank with the same size motor, that's going to run more often, which causes that motor to heat up more, and it's going to create more condensation inside that line. So the bigger your tank, less condensation of moisture, and the less you're going to have to dump your air trap. Now you do want to put a moisture trap on these. Even still, you don't want any in that line. And even if you want to go one step further, you can put an inline moisture trap at the brush as well. Doesn't hurt to have overkill. You know, keep that moisture out of that paint, less problems in the airbrush. So why don't we get to unboxing this compressor, and you guys stick with me. Have a good day, and keep watching. Got a new compressor in. I don't know if you can see me. I just thought I'd unbox it and let you guys watch, and we'll discuss what's going on. I sold my Iwata air compressor, my Great White Shark, beloved compressor, for many years. I thought I had other things I needed to invest in, and I figured someone else could be blessed by that wonderful compressor. So, in the meantime, I have purchased a California Air Tool compressor, and we're going to unbox it right now. And hopefully, it'll be quiet enough for use in the house while I'm recording. I'm just afraid it might be a little too noisy. So, I'm praying this is in the frame so everybody can see what's going on. Packed pretty good from what I can tell. Styrofoam blocks that get the styrofoam everywhere. You can tell it's been banged around a little bit in transport. I'm out here up here in Fairport, New York, and this came from California, hence the name California Air Tools. So, let's see, trying to figure out the best way to get this out of the box. I don't want to bust the box in case I got to return it. So, this is not advisable by any means. You know what? I think... You know what? Let's open the bottom and we'll just slide it out that way instead of risking bashing it around. So we're gonna open this bottom up here. Let's flip it up here on this side. Cut the tape. When my first compressor, that Iwata Great White Shark came, I was being silly and lazy and didn't want to take the time to open it up properly. And I ended up pulling it out from the top and gave myself a hernia. What a silly boy I was. I hope you're still in the frame. I could have done it selfie, but I wanted the video to be better quality. This is going to be stubborn. No, I folded that the right way. I don't know why it didn't go that way. Alright. Box over there. Front end. Back in. Alright. And I got peanuts everywhere. Nuts. Okay. I purchased the 1-horse air compressor and the 8-gallon tank Reason being, the larger the tank, obviously the more air supply you're going to have, but the better moisture control you're going to have. Yes, it takes, also it's less wear and tear on your compressor. I could have gone with the 2-horse compressor for a speedier fill, but that one was listed at 70 dB, and this one is 60 dB. If this doesn't pan out for what I want, I'm going to turn around and get the, I'm going to buy a refrigerator compressor. I've already got some air tanks for it. But God has provided. Yeah, that's in the frame. Let's move you a little bit more. Alright, we're gonna, I think I might plug it in first before I even put all the wheels on and everything. There's your air filter in a tube. Quick connect, which I hate quick connects, truthfully. This is your pressure switch with your auto off. This is your tank pressure over here with your check valve down here. One-way check valve. So air into the tank through this here. And this check valve will not allow air pressure to come back out. This piece here is your blow off. So once the tank is full and the check valve or the pressure regulator for the tank shuts it off by the switch, it'll release the pressure off the top of the piston head so the next cycle can start up. Otherwise there'd be too much air pressure. The little cover over the wire. This is your regulator switch or setting knob. Okay. Reason I did this one here instead of the double 4-gallon tank was because this sits off straight, so I can hook my air filter off of here and have it straight down off the tank. Because on the other one it's slightly at an angle. So let's put this air filter on at least. Alright. Screws on. I don't know what the sense in that hole is. Alright, let's find where the air filter goes on. Where's the air intake? Let's see. This is new to me, baby. New to me. I would think. This is the air. Guess what? I need, oh, there we go. No, that's not it. I'm not sure why. I've never seen one come with this with an air filter. It's usually on the intake. Okay, here we go. So this screws into here. And I'm not sure why they're giving us a little bitty hose for that. There is a port for it. So I'm taking it, it goes onto here. Let's open the instructions just to make sure. Alright, but yeah, it wants you to put this little hose on the end of this inlet. So we're going to just push that into there lightly. It's very thin in comparison. And I hate to cut that, but let's try not to cut ourselves or the cord. That would be counterproductive. Alright. Yeah, God had blessed me with in abundance, so I figured I would bless someone else with that compressor. It would provide me with the cash I needed. Alright, I've got an electrical cord here. if you're going to plug in with an extension cord, make sure it's a heavy enough gauge. If you go less than what the cord is, I believe this is 16 gauge, might be 14. You want at least equal or greater on your extension cord. Ideally, you plug it directly into the wall. All right, let's switch this on and see how loud it is. Well, that's not too bad. I'll have to listen back and see what the noise level is compared to my 2-horse Sears. It is nasty. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I can deal with that noise level. That was, you could hear that little blow off pressure. Whoa. And here's your air release valve. Because I don't have the wheels on it, it's not sitting high enough. So let's put these wheels on and we'll be good to go. Yeah, I'm pleased with it. I'm not disappointed in the least. 8-gallon tank. It's probably gonna take a little while. They actually got up to 30 psi in the tank. I think. Yeah, that got to around 30. So let's see. These axles. Let's make sure we do this right. I'm notorious for having to redo things, I would imagine. Sorry for the sniffing and the coughing. I've got a chest cold here going on. I've had it for 2 weeks now. It went into slight bronchitis. Alright. Okay, and I don't know why they're putting the nut on that side. And the lock washer, that must be just so it doesn't, I would imagine. This is not a lock nut. No, not by any means. So it's gotta be like this. Axle in. Well, that's a little cheap as far as I'm concerned, to have this a screw head instead of a bolt. That's another thing that's bewildering. Let's get that one on. Not too much room to work here. I'm putting my lock nut on the back side. Get my bolts started. And I'll tighten them up once I get that all situated. Well, I'll be darned. Yeah, that don't want to go on very far. I don't think it's got that far to go. It's just spinning around in case that thread's a little cross-threaded. Nope. Alright. Now we'll put the other side down. You can tell I'm out of breath. This has been nasty this cold. Another one goes that. Little washer there. Put that up on. I'm gonna have to go get my tools. Didn't think ahead. Okay. Well, there you go. It's I'm just gonna tighten that up a little, get everything else set. But yeah, from what I'm seeing, this is gonna be a good compressor to use. I'm I'm kind of liking it. Of course, over time it's going to get, sorry about that. It's going to get a little bit louder as time goes on. But the one advantage I like about having an oilless compressor is less worry of upkeep. Let's get over here. I'm just going to turn it around and let her fill before I go and finish off installing everything. That's my blow off. Okay, let's see how fast this goes. It's interesting, that flap sound. I'm just turning down my regulator. So that's plus, that's minus. This is a lock to lock off your regulator so it doesn't go more. Yeah, I think this is gonna work out okay for while I'm airbrushing, so you can hear me talk. I'll listen to it back before I go and post this, so you know for certain. We're already up to 45, 50 psi in the tank. And I'll either take this quick connect right off and put a direct line in, because it's less chance of it leaking, or I'll just leave this quick connect on and pop my hose on and off and see where I want to go with it on that. These nice little compressors, I've been looking at these for years, wondering about their quality and if it was something I liked and I wanted to see. It's pretty good and warm from that air going through, so you're going to want that moisture trap on the end of that. Definitely. You're probably going to get, this is a steel tank. I wanted the aluminum tank, but the price of the aluminum tank was too high, and I couldn't find an aluminum one in 8 gallons. I only saw that in 4 gallons. So this was in my price range for right now. This will work out perfectly. We're already up to 95, just over 100 actually now, 105. So it's filling up pretty quick for a 1 horsepower into an 8 gallon tank. My other choice was the 2. Wow, that shakes pretty good. And there you go. The overall pressure has only gone up to 100. Normally they go up to 120, but they've got it redlined at 120. So we'll leave it at what it's set at. Alright, let's take off. Alright, normally I airbrush at 25 to 30 psi. So that's right there. Yeah, it stopped at 90, 95, 100, 105 it stopped at. About 110, between 95, 100 and 110 it stopped. Looks good. Alright, and I'll listen to it back before I post this video like I said, and see if it works. Thank you. God bless everybody. I hope you enjoy this little information. That produces pretty good heat. So airbrushing at 25 psi, that's going to give 8 gallon tank. You're going to have a good amount of time before it restarts. That'll give this motor time to cool down and recycle itself once it starts back up. So God bless everybody. Hope you enjoyed this. And once I do go and get that refrigeration compressor, I've got a set of tanks, and maybe I'll record putting that together. I know there's a couple online already, but we'll do that maybe as a project later on down the line. Have a good day. Hope you enjoyed. Now to clean up my mess and finish tightening on those wheels.